guys, Rex here, and we're hanging out with our loyal compadre. We're gonna take a look at Creedzilla.
Yep, sitting out here shooting Creedzilla. We got a little free shoot using the tripod, shooting in a sitting position, and we're not screwing around. We just went straight for the 1,000 yard. We got about 3 impacts, but I don't even know where this rifle's at right now, and that's a sad thing.
Okay, we got the 6-30 Platinum bolted down in here. Looking at the true stick, we're gonna crank it up to exactly 10. Take a look. Very close to 10. It's almost exactly on 10. Maybe 1/3 of a percent off. We'll go to 20 and see if we can see any more. Come back to 20 there. Okay, so this is less than a 1% error. We're going to come back down to 0. And again, we're going to come back here to still on 10 exactly, so nothing moved. Come back down to 0. These scopes are getting really good, guys. The market is getting very competitive, and we returned exactly to 0. So that's good. 6-30 Platinum primary arms, less than 1% error, maybe a fraction, a small fraction, of a percent, maybe like, I don't know, 0.03, 0.02% off. I mean, you can't even discern within the lines width. It's just a tad bit short. It's like 99.8% accurate.
But we're having fun, man, and just was working with Rex today, and I tell you what an incredible class. You guys, if you ever have an opportunity, favorite. Not just shooting. Science behind the shooting, the means and methods, how scopes are developed, what different terminologies are, and it's fun watching people progress to the end of the day, and it's just a lot of fun, man. And I really appreciate being a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming out. I'm glad you could make it, man.
I love it.
So what you're running here, dude? This is Creedzilla. Tell me what it is.
So this is something I put together. As a matter of fact, I don't even know half the names of the stuff. Anyway, we got Air Precision lower. The rest of it's all Air Precision Proof Research barrel. One of the best muzzle brakes in the world is unsigned, and 24-inch barrel steel. And then the what do you call this thing? Who's this guy?
Howdy guys, Rex here. We're taking a look at the PLx 6-30x56 scope from Primary Arms. This is the Platinum Series scope that we've been showing for a while, and they are available in a lot of different reticles, but now they're available in the ACSS Apollo, which is a really slick option if you're running the 6.5mm Creedmoor or even a 224 Valkyrie, okay? And they have charts and loads in the manual that will show you exactly what altitudes, what environmental conditions, and what loads kind of synchronize. And if you come to an RX training event, or if you understand how to do a parallel bore zero, it's not hard to get these things dead on accurate out to 1,000 yards. Very effective, almost impossible to miss. So the PLx series is their flagship series of scopes that's manufactured out of Japan. Light Optic Works of Japan. They use pretty good glass, and the materials that they use are very similar to what you're going to see on any of your high-end Japanese scopes. These are all kind of made in the same place. These are a bit more affordable. They're in that $1,500 price range, so that's quite a bit less money than you're going to spend on other 34mm main tube Japanese scopes made in the same factory. They use an advanced set of intuitive features in the reticle that really makes it easy to drive. And that's really where I think the solid gold is. Although we did put this particular scope on the tracking test, and it came out to track very well with its tracking graduation precision being under 1% error. That's very good. For comparison purposes, an ATACR Night Force typically is around 1%, somewhere in there. Any of your top-end Japanese glass, Vortex, the Razor Gen 2s are going to be, in between, maybe a little bit under 1% and maybe 2%. We've done a lot of tests practiced on a lot of different optics over the years at the Rex Defense training classes, and this thing keeps up with the best of the Japanese scopes, so it runs fine. It's got all the same features as your Platinum Series scopes. I like the zero stop. It's easy to set the zero stop. It's got the high-quality Japanese glass. Pretty clear. It's got the first focal plane reticle, so it stays true at every magnification, which is imperative on an optic like this. It's pretty heavy duty. I've run these in Arctic conditions where I thought that they would freeze up before other stuff did, and they ran fine. We ran these when it was really hot, really cold, beat them up a lot. We've been running them a lot, and they actually hold up pretty darn well. The full red reticle illumination is night vision compatible on the lowest settings and daylight bright on the highest settings. So it's actually a usable illumination, which is a nice feature. The turrets work fine. You got your 1/10 mil increments. So you have zero stop resettable turrets, which is a nice feature. But really, like I said before, the main gold is in the ACSS Apollo reticle. So you simply zero this thing at 100 yards and you're ready to engage at any range out to 1,000 yards with a crosswind up to 20 mile an hour. So you have a series of dots coming off to the side that are 5 mile an hour dots. You don't have to multiply by any constants. You don't have to be a mathematician. You don't have to think. You don't have to take your eyes off the target to engage. You don't have to do it with any kind of math. And if your turrets are all jammed up because of super cold weather, you don't have to worry about your turrets. It's all built into the reticle. And you also get your stadiometric ranging ability. So you bracket a target in there shoulder to shoulder, and it'll tell you how far it is. That's where you hold. You don't have to ever take your eyes off the target. In most field circumstances, that's highly desirable. You don't want to be looking at your computer, looking at your laser beam, taking your eyes off the field. That's when targets disappear, okay? And so for real-world type stuff, this is a really, really, really good way to go. It has a center point is actually a chevron aiming tip, so you can get a real good zero, which I really like. And every time we've taken someone out to try this optic, it's been very, very easy for them to understand. You don't really have to read the instructions. With a quick explanation, they understand the concept of bracketing the target shoulder to shoulder and then holding there. And if there's a wind, you just hold off for every 5 mile an hour that you can discern, okay? So this thing is a really, really good way to go. We did end up putting this on my Axial Precision Arid. That's the Convergence Series rifle with a real nice 6.5 Creedmoor. And I thought that this was a good match for that particular rifle, being set up in the 6.5 Creedmoor. So that's something that it really streamlines your operation when you don't have to worry about ballistics computation, carrying around all your charts, calculating your range to the target. That's all done stadiometrically by looking through the reticle. All your tools are in that one toolbox that's built onto the rifle, and even a novice can run this thing like a champ. Now, if you want to fine-tune it for different atmospheric conditions, you simply pick a middle point somewhere in there, I'd say 500 or 600 yards, and you simply confirm your zero on that hash mark at that distance. And then you go ahead and slip your scales back to zero, and you got yourself a parallel bore zero. You're pretty much ready to rock and roll. You might be a tiny bit off at close range and just a little bit off at long range as the atmosphere fluxes, but that's going to happen no matter what you're shooting, okay? And for all practical applications on larger targets that are, full-size targets that are oriented vertically, particularly enemy combatants, something like that, this is a very, very effective reticle, and I can't stress enough how simple this thing is to use. So basically, if you want to get into long range, but you're not interested in becoming a rocket scientist, this is the way to go. Check it out. The Apollo is now available in the 6-30 Platinum Series scope, and I think it's a great value.
It's just absolutely awesome. I'm going to put the boss man behind it here in a few minutes, see what he thinks about it. Be a lot of fun.
Right on. Thanks, dude.